Marriages are continually falling apart. In part one, we talked about lust. Now, we're going to talk about greed. And greed is something that is intense selfishness. We know that there are people that are greedy or have some selfish ways. Greed compounds it. It makes it more potent. That the Bible speaks about greed in a way that is not good. And so many marriages have crumbled and will continue to crumble because of this intensity. They are continually buying things, wanting things, and ripping their families apart. And not thinking about the consequences of their marriages, their children, their families, and God's plan for salvation, and how critical being married is, and to stay married. So we need to understand these things. We need to realize the bond of God, the hand in marriage being sacred, something that has been set apart as a special relationship from God. More than anything else, as the marriage relates to a real commitment and is tied to our spiritual commitment. It's a way that God shows us that we need to stay the course. And we need to see this as a spiritual reference. In the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 5, Paul notes here that we need to put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. See, people may not think of greed as idolatry, but greed is intense. So it's time to get our marriages right. It's time for you to get your marriage right and remove this sin. And remember why you got married. You're only going to harm yourself with greed that is ripping your marriage apart, and many will lead in divorce. And that is not part of God's plan. And there are consequences for our sins. So there are people that may get out of the marriage, but there's a price to pay for it. There's a price to pay for our sins that not only will affect our lives, but also affect our loved one, our children. We can't escape. And the time is right now to realize that God will have the last word. Our so-called happiness is short-lived, and nothing good will come out of our behaviors, our sins, to cause us to be separated from God, and will eventually lead to a permanent death when we're not mindful and we're not ready. The time is right now to be prepared in the gospel for everlasting life.